What's up, y'all? Boogie Night here, and welcome to something completely different. Today we're going to have a little bit of a conversation with two individuals that I have known for quite some time. Randy and Angelica Roswell of Brighter Than a Thousand Suns. What's up, y'all?
What's
Hello.
up?
Known you guys for, 3 years now, and it's gone from me being a really proper, creepy fan to y'all tolerating me to an actual friendship. So thank y'all so much for taking time out of your day to go, have a chat with me.
Friends from the start, my man.
Yeah,
It's all
absolutely.
good.
You've always been great to us, man.
I mean, I would...
And never creepy.
Don't worry, I'll keep buying your merch.
Thank you.
Duly noted.
I mean, I would be wearing your t-shirts right now, but it's laundry day, but I do have the bracelet on.
I noticed that earlier.
Oh, cool.
When we started. Like, yay.
You're
One
awesome,
of the
man.
first things I put on in the morning, the last things I take off, and let that image haunt your nightmares.
No, man, that's really pleasant. Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah, no problem at all. So this is definitely be a little more laid back than our first conversation we had when you guys released your last EP. I feel a little more comfortable now, a little less nerve-wracked. So
Awesome. Yeah, man.
So I've got some questions for y'all. I know you guys just recently did a Q&A on your YouTube channel, so I do apologize if there's anything you guys will be revisiting, but I think these will be a little more in-depth.
Awesome.
Let's do it.
Yeah, bring them on.
Stoked.
All right,
ready.
and the Chuck Norris joke will be off the menu this time.
Aw,
But Chuck Norris jokes are fun.
they're great.
Well, of course, before we get started, for those of y'all who aren't familiar with these people, the three of us are big coffee nuts. So, what do you guys have in your mugs right now?
This is a Coffee Cult's Dark Roast, an unsuspecting good find off Amazon.
Yeah, we got like a bag the size of Utah off of it, so it's really good.
Chocolatey, not too fruity,
Yeah.
and very
Terrible black, though.
Yeah, you don't want to drink this black, but we're enjoying it. I don't know how quickly I'll buy it again, but it's good.
Yeah. When you're drinking quarantine coffee, this is sometimes the best you can hope for.
You take what you can get because you sure can't get any at the stores.
Yeah.
The good stuff, I mean.
Yeah, I hear that. I mean, I'll be sending you more King's Coast down the pike.
Oh, thanks, man.
That was really nice. The first bag. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was
man.
really enjoyable.
Nice. But of course, not a sponsor, but I am drinking some Dodger coffee from the Pacific Northwest. Nice little medium roast.
All right.
Dodger calls it diner coffee, but I've had my share of diner coffee living in Jersey, so this is not diner coffee. It's much better.
Yeah, diner coffee is usually like asphalt runoff. So
It tastes like
the Jersey Turnpike.
on highway. No.
Although I'll take some diner coffee, it means I'm in a diner in Brooklyn. If I get to be in Brooklyn and have the diner coffee,
Yeah, at Champs.
we miss New York quite a lot.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, so let's go on and get into question one. As we start everything in these type of conversations, how did y'all get your start as musicians?
Well, I started, I guess when I was 6, my dad, he's been a musician for as long as I can remember. I mean, he's actually quite skilled. And he was in a lot of like classic rock cover bands as I was growing up. And when I was 6, I was like, my dad's the coolest guy in the world. And I mean, I pretty much still like often think that. But he started getting me interested in guitar about 30 years ago. And it's just kind of spiraled ever since. And then somehow I ended up playing drums. So
What about you,
vastly
Randy?
different instruments, but very fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's classic story of kid sees rock band that he loves and wants to do that for the rest of his life, and here we are.
Yeah.
Isn't that the dream come true?
To be honest, it is. And I mean, if you had told me right now, if you had told me when I was 10 that I'd be doing what I'm doing right now, I would still be pretty freaking happy. Or I would be pretty freaking happy. I would be really freaking happy.
Yeah.
Can I keep upping it?
Just start ramping it up just as time goes on.
Yeah, like it gets better in my head the more I think about it.
We hear you, but you're still sitting the same way.
Okay, cool. I can see y'all. Sorry about that. I don't know why my internet's giving me such flack today.
It's all good, man.
You are frozen.
Doesn't matter. Maybe if we don't have to. Maybe we could just hear him.
That's true.
I don't know. You guys are coming in loud and clear, so I think we're okay.
All right. Yeah, we don't have to see. As long as we hear you, we're good.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, well, after that little technical debacle, we'll definitely have to. I'll do a little bit of editing for that. But okay. So, hooray! Question 2: Who are/were your biggest influence, musical or otherwise?
Rush.
Rush is a huge one. Massive Rush fans.
I listened to a lot of classic rock growing up, so I have like Kansas and Styx and stuff like that under my belt.
Yeah, I mean, classic metal ones for me. I started being into Guns N' Roses, Metallica, Slayer, Megadeth, and it kind of kept getting heavier up to Obituary, and then I leveled out into Iron Maiden and Dream Theater, and that's kind of what we first bonded on.
Yeah.
Dream Theater, we loved progressive metal, started out there. Electronic stuff made its way in, synth pop, Depeche Mode, all that kind of sort of the deeper, well-written stuff. Not so much the flavor of the year, flavor of the decade stuff, and then we've embraced the modern stuff. Under Oath, Anne Berlin, Emery, the Tooth and Nail bands, all that kind of stuff. And then. Yeah, and current stuff, UNFD, we love Tonight Alive, for example, North Lane. So that's more modern, but, as of late, I know Angelica particularly has been leaning on some of the more nostalgic stuff. She said the classic rock, that's on her, playlist rotation right now. Me,
I a lot of King Crimson lately.
King Crimson, okay, there you go. I've been into, actually, Young Guns. Some of the more, strictly modern, straight-up rock stuff, what's that, New Volume?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. It's not super unknown, but a lot more unknown. But it sounds like Vertical Horizon, that kind of.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's cool. It's just good, solid songwriting and no fluff and no genty chug super tight, which we are both very, very sick of at the moment.
Yeah. Gent and metalcore need to be. It needs to be over.
We want it to be over because it's getting really boring.
Yeah.
The only thing I'll disagree on that is Killswitch Engage. Their lyrics are still spot on.
No, that's cool. And you got the legacy guys like that. Those cats, they were the early guys, and they still try to turn out strong songs.
Yeah.
They're not jumping on bandwagons. We're talking about the people that are really stoked on the trend, not so much in the innovation.
And they just boil the trend down
Right.
in their music, and all you hear is trend rather than something like Killswitch, where they've been around for ages and they still do, like Randy said, they focus on good songwriting.
Right?
But when you boil everything down to just a genre, and you give into that as a songwriter, you end up just kind of sounding like a genre and not really sounding like yourself. And that's what we see a lot of with.
I love that.
Thank you.
You end up sounding like a genre, not like yourself. That's gorgeous.
Thank you. So you end up we end up playing these shows sometimes, and we've been seeing it for years, where you get 3-4 bands and they all sound the same. Just. Mm-hmm. And then, all they have to do to trend hop is add in some trap beats and R&B vocals, and suddenly they're current again. Yeah.
No. Oh, God, no. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the music industry is kind of taking a turn for the worse, with everybody just kind of jumping on trends and bandwagons. I mean, and now you have TikTok, which, of course, is like a rabbit hole all on its own.
Yep.
I refuse to go on that site.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
That was a boomer thing for me to say. I don't want to go on that website on the internet, on the World Wide Web.
On the information superhighway.
Information superhighway.
Well, Al Gore created the internet, so, I mean, come on.
I feel like I should know what that means, but I'm just going to laugh anyway.
There's a good segue to the next one then. So next question would be, I guess, is a two-parter. What made you decide to start the band Brighter Than a Thousand Suns, and then what made you all want to turn it into a career?
Well, I didn't join until 2007, but the band previously as Self-Made Soul existed for longer than that. Randy had started it with his old compatriot, Alex. And after I joined, we were still Self-Made Soul for a little while. And then in 2009 or 10, we decided we needed to change the name. We had gotten some guidance on, just having it more accurately represent where we were at artistically. And we found the record for Killing Joke's album, Brighter Than a Thousand Suns, at a venue we were playing in Massachusetts. And we all decided it would be cool. So we went with that. But we've always wanted to turn it into a career, though. I mean, every band I've been in, with the exception of a couple of joke ones, like I played drums in a fake Welsh punk band back in the 90s. But
Really?
it was weird. My friend Marcella and I, we were obsessed with whales for some reason. We didn't have a reason. It was no reason. But we decided that we wanted to start a fake Welsh punk band, and we played at like student unions at colleges and things like that. It was actually a lot of fun.
When you said we were obsessed with whales, I couldn't help but picture the sea animal.
We were obsessed with those too. But whales as in like running like a Welshman. Doesn't he run like a Welshman? It's something I know I've always wanted to do as a career. And Randy, you even went to school for it, or like got into college for it. Like,
it's always been our life, you know what I mean? And we met, while we were in separate bands, and we came together, to join our, what shall we say, collective enthusiasm. To turn it into something that we knew would mean something and help give us meaning. And it's the cornerstone of, like our relationship. We're married, and it's just kind of like it's the center of our lives. It's just been mega important to us. So,
That's awesome. And that's something I really respect about y'all, is just how you guys took it and ran with it. And look where you guys have gone after like all the years and trials and tribulations.
Well, it's like having a kid. Now, you don't give up on your kid when something goes wrong. You know what I mean? And hopefully people don't experience tragedy. But that, or just in general, when your kid's turning into a teenager and becoming a brat and is hard to deal with, you don't just give up on them. So our band is that. When it gets hard, it's like that. It's a member of our family that we've created. So that's kind of how we look at it. We don't have kids. We don't intend to have kids. So this is our kid. And, you want to see it grow up and contribute to the world and blossom to the point that you don't have to do anything. And it runs on its own. And a band as a business and as a art entity can do that as well. So, at a certain point, you won't have to hustle so hard, hopefully, and let it just do its thing, and you just get to keep creating. And that's our outlook on it.
Well, and kind of what you guys always imply in a lot of stuff, art is creation. So, y'all have created your own form of art.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Inception style, for a lack of better description.
Inception style. Good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Extremely good. All right, so let's get into one of the first questions I ever asked you years ago when you did your Facebook Q&A. Tell me about your current equipment loadout: guitars, drums, synthesizers, software, that kind of thing.
Want to start with drums?
Yeah, I'll start with drums. I have a Tama Superstar Classic, just 8-ply maple. It's a nice kit, nothing too fancy. It's beautiful to look at, but it wasn't very expensive. It's a 6-piece kit that I've pared down to 4. Though I did recently add in my 14-inch floor tom again, so it's growing. It's a lot of fun. I have a Ludwig Supraphonic snare that I absolutely love. It's really good. Zildjian cymbals, for the most part. I'm slowly transitioning to all Zildjian as I go. Except for my China. That's Wuhan. Will always be Wuhan because those break. And frankly, I'm not spending $250 on a China.
And a splash.
And
so we got to keep getting
okay, so it's, mostly Zildjian. That's basically it for me. My mic is, I have
for live.
For live, I have a boom stand with a gooseneck and a SM56
Beta 56
A. I always forget the model, but it makes me look like a proper anglerfish, so it's kind of fun. But But that's all I've got for live. We do use in-ears. I have Shure. Are mine the E2s?
Yeah, yours are the E2s.
E2s,
Mine's
yeah.
are the SL2s, the PSM 200 transmitter.
Yeah.
I'm looking over there because that's where the rig is right now.
Yeah.
So it's a MacBook Pro, solid state drive, 16 gigs of RAM, a QSC Touch Mix 16. This is all live. Fractal Axe effects for guitar. Sold all my amps years ago, not looking back. Guitar, just a Halo Maris 7-string for the main thing. I have another LTD, but I jam the Halo. Hardware synths, we've sold them all. We used to have a ton. We sold them all software. I sampled everything that I used into Steinberg's Halion, the latest version of Halion. Fantastic piece of software. Record everything into Cubase. That's what we're recording our audio into right now. And it's a very old rig, but I don't believe you have to keep upgrading and having the latest. It's not going to make you write better music necessarily.
Yeah.
So, the rig that I have is the same rig I had in 2012. And to be honest, there's been a few additions, but like nothing major. It's the version of Cubase from back then. I have not updated my Cubase in almost 8 years.
Something like that.
So, and that's it, man. So,
Hey, nothing wrong with that. I mean, if it works, it works. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it feels good, don't stop. Don't let people mess you around.
Exactly.
Yep.
Kind of dovetail off. This is a quick thing. I don't know if you guys saw, there was a news article that Korg put out how for those under quarantine, you can actually download the Korg app for free.
I saw that. Yeah, I was going to hop on that. I don't know if they still have that, but I probably should check that out.
Yeah, because I downloaded it as soon as I saw the link, and I'm just like, done. So it's like it lets you do loops on your phone. I'm like, oh, sweet.
Neat. Yeah, I was wondering if they might give away their little why can't I think of it? Not MS-20. The the early '90s synth that was very, very popular that I loved. It was like a wavetable synth, and I know they made a software version of it. Anyway, I was hoping that would be included in some of the free stuff they'd give away, because I know they had like a cheap thing for them, but.
Well, I was mad because Moog was doing it exclusively for the Apple phone, for the iPhone. They weren't doing it for the Android phone, and Moog is one of my favorite synthesizers. So, I mean, I'm just like, wait, what?
Absolutely.
Biased sons of bitches. Okay, so next question. This goes towards Angelica, because I feel like I know Randy a lot more. I've never really picked your brain on stuff. To kind of get down to it, to me, your voice sounds, and this is going to be towing the line, your voice to me sounds like Alyssa White Blues from Arch Enemy, just that roar and the clean vocals. So that's pretty, I mean, at least for me, I'm like, that's one of the best like female vocalists that I've ever heard today, with the dirty and the clean vocals. So my question to you is, when did you start singing, and did you ever have any vocal coaches during your journey?
So I've been singing my whole life. If I wasn't singing in school productions, I was just singing at home. Actually, my dad, of course, who was the catalyst for all of my musical growth when I was a child, bought me Fleetwood Mac Greatest Hits on tape, and I would sing along to that constantly. So I've always been singing. I have had some formal training. Melissa Cross, who did the Zen of Screaming DVDs, and actually, I believe she worked with Alyssa. I have both DVDs, and I've taken 2 lessons from her. One was actually in person at her studio in New York, which was a brilliant time. And that, I would say, was probably the best decision that could have been made when it came to vocal coaching and who to go to, because it opened up my scream a little bit better, but it also opened up my melodic vocals, and I felt that I was able to deliver a lot more with a lot more strength, and be a little bit more exact with pitch. So yeah, only the 2 lessons with Melissa, and then the DVDs. I did go to a guitar workshop camp for 2 weeks when I was 12, and there was some vocal coaching going on there, but I wouldn't really count that because it was group stuff.
Yeah. Was it good?
No.
No.
It was not.
No.
No.
Were you just like,
I just did it because it was there. Yeah. But I was like, all right, it was sort of like the whole workshop was basically like being in school for a couple weeks in the summer, but you only did music. So I was like, shit, yeah, I'm gonna do some. Can I swear? I'm sorry if I can't swear.
Go for it. Have at it. Do it.
I mean, I knew that. I didn't know they had vocal though. So interesting.
I did that, but that was it. And that was when I was 12. So really, in recent years, just the two with Melissa, and that's it. But yeah, I've been singing my whole life. It's always been part of me. Yeah.
I mean, Melissa Cross is absolutely a goddess when it comes to vocal. I mean, she is amazing.
Yes.
I still have some of her DVDs somewhere in a box. Years ago, before I met you guys, Jamie Van Deer was kind of my go-to for like books and stuff like that. But your roar has like the signature of Melissa Cross, which is a good thing because I mean, you've got this insane roar and then segueing into the clean vocals back and forth. I mean, it's absolutely amazing.
Wow, thank you. Thanks. Yeah, I owe a lot of it to Melissa. She's tiny too. I'm 5'1" and she's shorter than me. She's the tiniest little thing, but she is just a ball of energy, and she knows her shit. She will take any singer and make them better. And she used to be a classical singer coach, so a vocal coach. So singer coach. Wow.
It really was Angelica's vocals though that made us, influenced us to get heavier, because when we were named Self-Made Soul, we had this one song on this record we put out called The Future Belongs to Us. And the song, Your Favorite Hiding Place, there was like a little bit of screaming in the bridge because we found out she could do it. We didn't know it until, after we were playing together, and it was like, holy cow, we should use that. So it was like the most popular song on that record. And then it was like, maybe we should just do more of that. And she was singing and playing bass at the time, but she wasn't lead, though. We had another guy who was the lead. And she just bumped that guy out of that slot, slowly but surely. Some more songs got heavier and heavier, and that was kind of the catalyst for, being suddenly a band that was more about heavy than it was... an Emery Emberlin kind of...
For the record, I didn't nudge this guy out of the band. We just swapped spaces. He started playing bass and singing back.
Yeah, we did. I know, but it was funny how it worked out.
Yeah,
how
it was
just
like
well, because we were playing to our strengths there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's why it was like, hey, you're kind of a different band. You should change the name and all that kind of stuff. But so we can thank her vocals.
There we go. Well, it's funny, Angelica, when you said that you had the tape of Fleetwood Mac, I had this mental image of like 6-year-old you standing like on a mountain being like, thunder only happens when it's raining.
No, I didn't start screaming until I was like 22. I was actually, I played guitar in a death metal band for a little while before joining the band with Randy. And it was sort of like a side project thing. I was just kind of filling in, but that's where I learned I could scream. But no, I mean, I've been doing melodic singing, forever. But yeah, the only song I didn't sing along to by Fleetwood Mac was Tusk.
Ooh, damn. Now that would have been a good one.
That would have been an interesting one.
No kidding.
Yeah, especially 6-year-old me.
Nice. All right, so next one, we kind of talked a little bit about this, but I think, for a lack of a description, from Survival Machines, that was kind of described as a post-hardcore sound, and it's kind of shifted to more of an electronic rock / electronic metal sound. What really prompted that segue from kind of a post-hardcore to more of a metal, experimental, avant-garde metal, whatever genre you want to call it sound, I guess you could say?
There's a lot of reasons, but at the time, the guys had just left, the old bass player, singer, and the old drummer had left. And I don't know, we were always into like 80s, and it was always about how much of that we could incorporate before going off the deep end, which we did, but we sort of came back from that ledge a little bit. There was a little bit of that. Also, though, to be honest, even back then, I would say we were starting to focus more. Do you agree with this? On strong songs as opposed to just being like riffy. There's a lot of, even back then, there's a lot of riff salad. Just kind of chuck a bunch of riffs in, and just scream over them, and that'll be how you're able to get the technical, riffy type sound, and then just put in a melodic chorus. Put in like a hooky, catchy chorus, but then just riffs all around it, and then you're good. We got bored of it. We started listening to more like Linkin Park, that kind of stuff again. I don't know who else would. Well, Seosin maybe came in a little bit more, you know. And then we wrote a song called "In the Beginning It Is Always Dark," and that was probably I would say probably the catalyst to.
I would say so. Yeah, right? I think ultimately it just comes down to we wanted to write better songs.
Yeah.
And we were very bored with the super heavy metal thing. And while we did sort of come back to it a bit for stuff like Rebirth, the song Structures, it just very quickly wears off.
Like that song Hide Your Hearts has a little bit of it, but it's still...
Yeah. To be honest, like, right, what was that?
I was just thinking about Hole in Your Heart as a very kind of post-hardcore to you.
Oh, yeah, Hide Your Heart's what we said, but...
I think, you know... It's fits and starts when it comes to metal for us.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, and frankly, like I don't even listen to metal now. I'll listen to Carcass's new record when it comes out, but that's about it. I'm pretty over it. I just want to hear good melodies.
Yeah, you know, I think deep down, what always moved us are just strong songs that had a very emotional weight to them.
Yes.
That, you know, was about more than merely aggression, you know, and there's a lot to be said for aggression, you know, and like she said, there's fits and starts. We don't know whether or not the next thing we do that we don't know we're going to create is going to have some heavy or not in it, you know, like our song Replica, the bridge is a little bit more metalcore-y, genty, breakdowny, you know, but there's sort of it's encapsulated in a, you know, garbage meets corn type of song, you know, so that's probably how it'll be, you know, when we want to get that in there. But for the most part, I think just the catalyst for change was wanting to have better songs and more emotional satisfaction, I would say, than opposed to just, you know, aggressive satisfaction, you know.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, even with like the song like Books on Fire, like Angelica did more of a hip hop thing going on.
Yeah, I'm a really big fan of Rage Against the Machine, and I wanted to...
That was something we talked about doing like back in 2016.
Yeah, we finally found a way to make it happen. Also, from just a drumming perspective, I enjoy getting into the pocket a little bit more. I like grooves better than I like mathematical, memorization stuff.
That was something that, like, she said, we were having breakfast one morning. It was like, she said the word groove, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, we should pay more attention to groove, and then
get people's head nodding.
Right, Busy Signal, Books on Fire, Replica. We focused a lot more on groove, and it was like, yeah, okay, cool. Now we're going somewhere new for us, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because when I first heard Books on Fire, I'm like, wait, what? What?
That's cool. That's interesting feedback.
I mean, no, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. It just kind of startled me because I'm so used to I've been once again following you guys for years. I'm this is the first time I ever heard Angelica drop beats in her voice, for a lack of better description.
Yeah, she's got bars.
She can spit.
Yeah. Spit the bars.
Spitting out lyrics, homie. I'll wet ya.
Ooh,
nice.
I can't take
gonna
credit
lay
for
down
that.
some bass lines and some dope rhmes.
She knows way more hip hop than I do too. So
I'm a pretty big hip hop fan, and for anything post 2000 or pre 2003, most modern hip hop I have absolutely no use for. But you give me some good Biggie Smalls, some Missy Elliott, and I am here for it. I love that shit.
Old school. Oh, it's funny. Just as a side question, have you ever heard of the two rappers? One's called Sage Francis. The other one is called Prozac with a K.
No.
They are really solid. Almost, I really can't even call them hip hop. I mean, they are rap, but for all intents and purposes, they're almost like free verse expositional stories when they rap.
Interesting. All right, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, I'll send you guys the names later on after this.
Please do. Yeah.
Okay, so next question before we keep going down more rabbit holes. For a while, y'all did covers of stuff. In fact, I think it was your cover of I Will Not Bow that I first found out about you guys. What caused the segue into covers, and why did y'all phase out of that?
You want to talk to why we did them?
Yeah, well, at the time, we had just moved to North Carolina, and we were looking for other members. And it was pretty obvious that we weren't going to find anyone, at least within a reasonable time frame, that could meld with us in a way that, you know, shared our ethos, our vision, and there were a lot of people that just wouldn't jive with us. Anyway, it was like, well, do you want to do, like, we can do some covers to get some stuff out there, stay in the in the news feed, as it were, stay in the cycle, have something to give to people, but also like, it was like, maybe you can play drums on like just the covers. Like we started with that, like maybe you could play, and it just morphed into this, well, no, let's have this be who we are. And we kind of used that as a way to get comfortable with, okay, here we're a two-piece. And it was like almost the covers that sort of established us as the two-piece. And also as a good excuse to learn making video, and get better at that. I'd like to say that I learned something musically, but to be honest with you, not really, because at that point, I personally already felt pretty confident in like arrangement skills and stuff, and I didn't learn a whole lot about songwriting from some of the songs because we were kind of going by, hey, let's get requests and stuff, and we got pretty bored with that because after a while you started to feel like a bit of a Vegas act, and people were kind of like, well, do this next, and it was like, okay. And also it let us learn how to how to think of a crowd, do things for a crowd, how to pick a tribe of people to make things for, which is, I think, something that more artists need to think about. But when it's just covers, we were like, we wanted to do a lot more original stuff. And the covers were way too time consuming because, doing all that soup to nuts, making the arrangements, recording all the instruments, and then making the video, man, it's 2 straight weeks of solid work, 8-hour days, you know what I mean? Like, of just doing that to stay on that kind of schedule. And it's just like, we could be putting all this energy into making our original stuff. So that's kind of why we segued out of it.
Also, I got to tell you, having been in a band before that started out as an original project and ended up becoming mostly covers, that was not where I wanted to find myself again. If you want to be playing originals and you find yourself feeling forced to play covers, it can be a pretty soul-sucking experience. So it got to the point where it was just, we had to do something to maintain our, I guess, for lack of better term, spiritual integrity.
Yeah, our original purpose,
Yeah, because we're not, we never wanted to be a circus act.
Yeah, you get addicted to the numbers, to be honest, because you're just like, oh, this is working.
But how much is it?
Yeah. And it's like, you're like, okay, cool. This Skillet cover, Skillet's Monster, for example, is our biggest cover. It's like almost 400,000 views. And to be honest, we don't really care for Skillet's music. That was a song that was, heavily requested. So we're like, how can we make it us, put it out there? And hey, when I listen back to it, I'm like, well, yeah, we did make it us,
that was what we always tried to do. We never wanted to recreate anything, but...
Yeah. And, you get addicted to that, and it's like the business of it all is nice. Make no mistake, we've made some money off that, too, and that's nice. Not crazy big money, but, it's something. I don't want to say you get addicted to that to the point that we lost sight of things, but it was just this flow, you kind of get caught up in the current of it all, that... It was a little bit of an effort to say, okay, we really got to put the brakes here. We've got to jump out of the water, just hardcore, and just get on land again, and start building the structure or continue to build the structure that we, started before we decided to go for a swim.
No, that makes sense because Ray and I were talking about a couple weeks ago on Chasing the Train Wreck about, as an amateur YouTuber, using that phrase very loosely, how people can get caught up and kind of use this phrase also loosely, selling out for the sake of their fans and making relative bucks when you kind of lose sight of why you got into it to begin with. So I respect that a lot about you guys, about coming forward and trying to find your passion and kind of using that as a bridge between the two. So that makes perfect sense. Now, I do have to ask this question for my own personal use because I tweeted this to you guys about a week ago because I actually had a dream we did a cover of Within Temptation's Reckoning. But would you guys ever be interested in doing the off chance, like a cover every now and again? Or is that completely just phased out?
We've talked about the whole occasional cover thing. It's something that, in order to make sure that we don't feel as though we are just kowtowing, if we're going to do a cover, it's going to be something that we really love. We're not opposed to suggestions, but it's got to be something that we feel not only that we can give ourselves to, but that means something to us. We've talked about covering Depeche Mode songs or Elemental by Tears for Fears, so on and so forth. That's the kind of stuff that we would end up wanting to focus our efforts on in terms of covers, just because if we can't feel like we can get behind it, we're not going to be convincing.
And really get behind it. Like we could get behind the stuff we did before, but we want to do it so that we want to make it as much us as possible and not even think about whether or not people wanted it.
Yeah.
It's like, let's put it this way. If we do a cover of Tears for Fears' Elemental, which is a song I've always wanted to do, we're going to give it to people in a way that's like, here's like a lot of us in this, but you didn't ask for this song specifically. We're not going to take requests, in other words.
Unless somebody suggests a song that we really love and we're like, shit, yeah, we got to do it.
Right,
that would be fun.
And it makes a lot of sense. We're just like, oh, cool. But yeah, we're not going to get into the whole thing of like, let's do the YouTube cover thing, which is, I think, unless you got in that game just a little bit before we did, and you kept doing it, you can't hop in that game now.
Yeah.
Doing covers on YouTube isn't going to work the way it used to.
Yeah.
I don't think anymore,
Mm-hmm. I mean, come on, I can see you guys doing a cover of Feel Good Drag.
That's
actually a good song.
That's a great song.
Yeah.
I don't know about us doing a cover of it, but that's a great song. But
the original version, with all due respect, the original version, I'll Never Take Friendship Personal, is better than the New Surrender version, in my personal opinion.
Absolutely agree with you. Absolutely agree.
It had that scream thing going on right before the breakdown.
Oh, I hate the way the non-scream version, like it just sounds so like flimsy and like mealy to me. I really did not like how they redid that song just to make it radio friendly, just because, somebody's delicate sensibilities might be, injured because of 2 seconds of screaming. My goodness. I'm very emotionally invested in that, in case you can't tell.
That does bring me to one of my favorite dad jokes, though. What do you call a bunch of millennials and Gen Zers throwing insults at each other?
What?
A nasty snowstorm.
No. Oh, snowflakes.
Oh, there we go. Nice.
Cute.
Nice.
So the match is tied. So, oh no, Angelica's up too, since Randy didn't know the around the corner fudge is made joke.
I only heard that on the show Dr. Katz years ago, and I just thought it sounded like some kind of like 50s like innocent rhyme.
Yeah.
Well, this is coming from the same person whose parents had to, if you sprinkle, wipe the CD or whatever it was.
If you sprinkle when you tinkle, be a CD. Be a sweetie and wipe the CD.
Yes, that's right. My parents had that sign on the toilet in one of our bathrooms. So.
I think the only funny thing bathroom-wise, before we get back, there's at the office where I work, there's a sign right above the toilet saying a monochromatic toilet's a happy toilet.
Oh, that's funny.
Nice.
That's funny.
It's like, I know who made that sign.
There we go.
All right, so let's get technical now. Take me through the songwriting process. How long does it usually come up with y'all for come up with an idea? Who's usually the first person to come up with the overall concept idea? How long does it take for y'all to lay out the groundwork and then for the idea to become a song? Like, give me a timeline kind of thing.
Well, to start, Randy is the one who writes. He's the chief songwriter of the outfit. He'll present to me a fully, well, not a fully fledged, but a very well organized idea. And occasionally I'll have something useful to add. But for the most part, the process soup to nuts is Randy's brainchild. So I'll let you speak to the rest.
Yeah, I mean, lately it's been more about me sitting in front of a keyboard, with maybe either a lyric, like a couple of lines of lyrics or something, or just a melody in my head that I had, or something a song inspired me to write, and you bang it out there so that it's really pure, really strong, without any arrangement. So in other words, just piano and voice, or just acoustic guitar and voice. That's kind of where it has to start for me these days. And then after that, I bring it into Cubase. Start throwing some things at it. Maybe I have some riffs that maybe I make some withdrawals from the riff bank. And or just some synthesizers, some pads, some sounds, a drum, like a drum groove that I had that comes, comes in my head, or, a loop that I already have, whatever, something like that. And then you start to get cooking there. And, I'll usually bring it up to the point that there's, I don't know, have I ever shown you just a chorus and been like, what do you think? I think I have, right? Where it's like, here's an idea for what I think is a chorus, and there's no verses yet.
Yeah.
What do you think? And if you're stoked on that,
And you proceed with the rest.
yeah, then I'll go on. But, sometimes it's like, here's, a verse and a chorus, the intro, the whole thing, and it's just like, if you like that much, then I'll keep going. Otherwise, if you're not feeling it or something, I'll just be like, okay, either back to the drawing board, or she'll say, here's the thing I think works, and here's what doesn't, and I'll just, mine that, and then, rebuild from that, sort of like rolling your scraps from making biscuits, yeah, that's kind of basically it, For example, another great thing when that happens, when she recognizes something that's strong, she'll get inspired. And in the case of Replica, our song Replica, I had the verse melody, that kind of thing. She wrote the first 4 lines to the of the verse, the lyrics. I didn't have the lyrics yet, and so that was a springboard. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Now I see how we can what maybe a good rhyming scheme is, all that kind of stuff. And was it you that if you thought of the whole vocal burn thing, right?
Yeah.
That kind of low thing,
Yeah.
So then that's how we get cooking like that. So there's no rules, but that's generally how things go.
Gotcha. So you guys kind of have the Outback Steakhouse thing going on. No rules, just right.
Yeah, exactly.
There we go. All right, yeah, let's get Outback with it.
Yeah. I mean, now it's kind of a joke, Angelic. Has Randy ever trolled you with some Adam D style lyrics from Kill Switch? He's got I got this really good song. It's 1 dem trims, 2 dem trims, 3.
No, but if he ever does, I will be in stitches, because that would be freaking hilarious.
I don't know what that is. What's that?
I don't know. I mean, just I would imagine anything totally off character would be hilarious.
Well, the reason I was saying that was because when Adam D did the All That Remains album for We Are Many, they didn't have the lyrics to one of their songs, so they came up with the working title, Dem Trims.
Okay, yeah.
I'll let you audience figure out what that means.
Maybe I should troll you. I'll have a really serious, musical bed, and it's, I set up the mood, and then all right, let me sing you the lyrics, and then it's just some banal bullshit. I should totally try that someday.
That's a good idea.
And hopefully watch the laughter unfold, or the footsteps out the door. We'll find out what happens.
Just back away
The
slowly.
real troll lyrics would be something about Randy going to the butcher section of the grocery store.
Oh God.
Or maybe I could sing about what could I sing about?
Shamu.
Wales.
Whales. Yeah, we can come back
Bring
to
that
Wales.
round robin.
Right?
Here.
That was a good callback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can sing something entirely in Welsh and just call it the song without vowels.
There we are.
Okay, I'm gonna
A
have to
song without
learn
vowels.
how to, speak Welsh, which could be an interesting feat.
Yep. I'll write about bagels. She likes bagels.
I would sing a song about bagels. I would sing
there we
it
are.
with
There we are.
delight.
Bagels.
Yeah. Nothing
If you
says
guys do a
happy.
song about bagels, I'll do a song about Nutella.
Ah.
She was a fan of that stuff.
Yeah, they make vegan versions of it, but it's just not the same.
Well,
Damn.
yeah, but I mean, Nutella's awesome. Even with the vegan variants, I'll still give it a go.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Awesome.
if it's as long as it's hazelnut and chocolate, killer.
Sign her up.
Yeah.
Ooh. That was a good groove.
It's the song about Nutella. They're going into blast beats for that.
Yeah, let's do it. Death metal Nutella.
All right, so the next question would be, I've noticed, at least from my trolling you guys on social media, I've noticed a massive inflow, well, not a massive, but a recent influx on touring. Has this been a new thing, or has this always been kind of going on in the background? And as a second part to that, do you guys have a steady live crew, or is it more just kind of like you have a stable of people you can rely upon for various shows?
Well, as far as actually touring, it's something that we do want to do, and we have done it several times in the past. But we, now with the way that the industry is, it's pointless to just go out and blindly tour. You end up hemorrhaging money. You come back in the red every time, and you've not really amassed much in the way of an audience as a result. Especially if you're on with, a package with another band that's around the same level as you. Now, it's not to say it's not a lot of fun. We absolutely love touring. But it's just financially, you need to be very smart about it now. But as far as like a live crew, we have a couple of guys that we know that we can typically call on to help us out with merch. But as far as the loading in, loading out of gear, setting up, that's pretty much just me and Randy. Thankfully, when we play shows, the general consensus among the staff at the venues seems to be, oh shit, this is a two-person band, we got to help them get their stuff on and off stage. So it's a shockingly quick setup, despite the lack of, band members.
We've been pretty lucky in that regard.
We have,
People have been pretty generous.
Yeah, other bands will help us get stuff off the stage. And I know it's partly self-serving for them because they want to get on there, but it's great. Like, we don't feel like we're breaking our backs.
I mean, we've been doing a lot more shows lately. That's probably what you've seen.
Yeah. But as far as...
It's like regional stuff.
Yeah, as far as like touring though, where we're playing a different venue every night in a different state, we haven't done that since...
It's been a little bit since
2012
or something. But we're hoping to maybe get something going on this summer, but that's highly unlikely with the COVID-19 stuff. But we will make that happen again, and it will be very well planned. It used to be more of a thing, especially in the MySpace era. It used to be more commercially viable and made more sense, because that was how you built your audience. Now you largely build it online.
Yeah, but now that means you can target your touring.
Touring, exactly. And the target, the touring is a lot more effective when you do it that way. So as soon as we're able, we're going to plan a tour and get, a small one, and then we'll keep doing it that way.
Yeah.
2 weeks here and there, 3 weeks here and there, whatever we can fit in and whatever makes sense. But while we do have some generous people that are on our side with doing merch and stuff like that, it's always, they have lives too, so we're always on the look for who can help in that regard. Because having someone do merch and not having to run out to the out into the audience and into the merch table right after we get off, that's a nice luxury. So.
Yeah.
Randy's in the middle of a breakdown. All of a sudden, he just dashes over to go sell a T-shirt to somebody.
Yeah, right?
Man. No, it's true. You got to have someone there at all times. It's very true.
We've actually had to play a couple of shows where we didn't.
I'll help.
Oh, sweet.
All right, man. Awesome. We're down.
We'll coordinate that at some point. Okay, so next question. Now, this one's... I've had to circulate this one kind of off and on. So your latest track is called Replica, and I've listened to that song upwards of 40 plus times. Not just because I like it, but I was trying to kind of figure out what the song was about. And to me, the song almost, of course I'm extrapolating here, it almost seems kind of sound almost like it has to do with a duality of some kind, like being fiercely loyal to the point that it's become an anathema. So I passed the question off to y'all. What basically, A, made you come up with that idea, and B, is there kind of a central topic to it, or is it more just kind of word salad?
Well, we wanted to discuss the people that are very concerned with being as trendy and as accepted as they possibly could. And, we had an experience at a coffee shop where this one girl who was waiting on us, my God, it was just like, can you be any less, without personality? And she was very try-hard, and I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but because we've all wanted to be accepted, and I think, you need to find a crowd to belong to, but not at the expense of individuality. And a lot of these people, it's a trend these days to be weird, to be, Billie Eilish and all those cats, I think, are embracing weirdness, and it's cool, but,
It's like it's a repeat now of sort of the girls in the 90s who would say that they're so random. Everything, I'm so quirky. Look how quirky I am.
Right,
I love cats and oh look, I'm a barista and I wear high-waisted jeans. Like it's all unfortunately now to be acceptable kind of weird is the norm. When it used to be that if you were strange, you were ostracized, and it took a certain level of strength to maintain your strangeness and accept it and be happy that you have it.
And that's why that word is in there, anathema. These people think that they're getting outcasted, they're getting exiled.
And it's like, they can still throw a 50-person house party, so I don't want to hear that you're outcasted.
Yeah. So it's just like, you're another one of them, another copy. But they think they're the one and only. So there we are.
Yeah.
The one and only replica.
Yep.
So in some cases, it's almost like you're dovetailing off of Books on Fire. I mean, because you're losing your originality to be kind of part of the mainstream.
Books on Fire kind of dovetails off of Busy Signal, where we discuss the, ramifications of having constant information in your face at all times on social media. And Books on Fire specifically deals with how we've kind of lost the concept of mystery. Everyone needs to know everything right now at all times. And there's nothing, because it's so ubiquitous information, that is, people don't search anymore. The mysteries of life are behind the times. Who cares about searching when you have Google, when you have Facebook? I know everything that I need to know. Let's just watch more Netflix. It's like, oh, come on.
Oh, come on, dude. Vikings season 4 was amazing.
Well, there's great stuff. No, for sure. But I think people have lost their creativity with what they search for, So, yeah.
Okay. Cool. No, that makes perfect sense. I mean, I just kind of wanted to clarify because, for me, it almost became a cross between what you guys just talked about and for me becoming so fiercely loyal to somebody, you lose your individuality and you kind of get sucked into that, whether it be through attraction, whether it be through friendship, whether it be through commonalities or you're one of the pack. But that was just my impression on it.
No, that's an interesting take.
Yeah, and it's not entirely wrong because these people are fiercely loyal to a trend.
Right.
And they lose all sense of individuality as a result of it. And, as long as you're socially awkward and wear vintage eyewear, you're cool.
Yeah, or on the more, shall we say, male end of the spectrum, it's like when you see just like the bros walking. You know what I mean?
God. Kind of like you would say, like how Suicide Girls set the tone for a lot of the old stuff, and now it's just kind of just completely gone off.
Yeah, now it's cooler to, be very vocal about the fact that you don't shave your legs and, that you shop in your grandmother's closet. It's gone quite the opposite way now. It used to be Suicide Girls. Now it's...
Yeah, it's not those things specifically. It's just like, that you're doing them because everyone else is doing them. And,
Yeah.
Because yesterday, if I would threaten somebody with my back hair, they'd be like, "Oh no, get away!" Now they're like, "Oh yeah, show us your back hair."
Yeah.
Like no, that's an insult to myself. Don't go with it. You don't want to see that.
Right. Don't go.
Okay, so next question. Now the latter parts of these questions, we're going to get more into the metaphysics of things. So as long as I've known you guys, your albums/EP/songs have always kind of been thematic or conceptual for a lack of better description, with topics ranging from animal rights, like Walls Made of Glass specifically, personal discovery, like Things on the Way Out, philosophical subjects, once again, kind of like Busy Signal and Books on Fire, things like that. So was that ever your intention to kind of create conceptual things for it, or was it kind of more of an organic experience?
I would say it's more organic, really. It's where a headspace might be on any, during any given period. We have definitely changed a lot from dealing with a outside world view to a little bit more introspective. And what you might be hearing is sort of that evolution of our thought process. It's not that we intend to, create some kind of like an emotional concept record, but you can definitely hear where we're at, what kind of mindset we're dealing with, what kind of things we're seeing happening in the world, and now it just seems like we're a little bit more interested in expressing our place in it.
Yeah, it's funny because there was a lot of commentary stuff. Survival Machines was, real commentary heavy, social, political, religious. then it became more personal, especially like on our EP Flux and The Way Out. That was very personal stuff. And I think, Busy Signal, Books on Fire, we've taken more of the philosophical, commentary angle again. But like she said, it's organic. I agree with that because like we decided to title The Way Out because it was like, well, all these songs kind of are about this, or it feels like that, or at least 3 of them did. And so that's what this is about. Let's do it like that. We never set out though to be like, let's make 10 songs that are about this and divvy up the intricacies and the nuance of that concept among the 10 songs. It wasn't like that.
So you guys didn't do the Irion approach. We're like, okay, here's the topic. Now we're gonna do like 20 different like hour-long songs to go with it.
Yeah, that's not it. Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, and I said this before, and I'll say it again, flat out, no BS. You guys have been extremely, influential over me on my own personal journey over the years that I've known you guys. And I can't say thank you enough to that. Now, to dovetail off thematic and conceptual stuff, would there be any subjects you guys would avoid discussing in your music?
Oh, that's a good one. I never thought about that.
I think while we may have some political leanings in some of our songs, I think being very specific politically is something that we would avoid. It's not something that I think either of us could really speak with great knowledge to, and I think in order to have that kind of music, like somebody like Rage Against the Machine, you need to be very knowledgeable about the stuff you're writing about. And while we do pay attention to politics and we have our opinions, we're not about alienating anybody, and B, we don't want to BS our way through it. And we don't want to pose opinions on something that we may not know everything that we need to know about it in order to form that opinion. And frankly, we don't put in the time to make that happen. It's not to say these things aren't important to us, but I just don't really see us ever, skewing heavily political. Also, I got to tell you, there are enough breakup songs and enough love songs on the planet. We don't need more. Yeah. So we had a manager at one point who tried to say that I needed to write about all my past breakups, and that was very much outside of my purview because, frankly, if I'm not friends with an ex, they're dead to me. So I have nothing to write about.
There we go.
And I think that kind of stuff is insipid. So
yeah, no, that's a good way. I like what you said about that with especially the political thing. You kind of have to live that. Like you really have to live and breathe that stuff to have like what I would consider to be an opinion worth sharing that hasn't already been shared. And that's just not what we do. We don't spend our time watching news and reading political science and all that kind of stuff. There's a little bit of that, I think the closest we may have come to the politics of things is maybe the media ecology stuff. Like the Busy Signal and like the Books on Fire, that's totally different.
Yeah, that's more social.
Very social. That's a good point. Yeah. So, I agree with her 100% on both those.
I figured politics would probably be a big no-no, other than walls made of glass being like socio-political, for lack of better description, because you're up against something specific that you guys were passionate about.
Yeah, right. Like we have a song called "The Inheritance," and that's discussing the effects of global warming and how boomers kind of like are passing the buck to the next couple of generations. That's what that song's about.
Well, that's the only buck they wanted to pass to us,
right? Yeah, I know. Yeah, good. How about some other bucks, huh?
Yeah.
That's probably. That's the only song, really, I guess we've ever really talked about that. And the animal rights thing is. There's a political nature a little bit to that, but. Again, more social commentary, but that's more personal just because we're very passionate about that ourselves.
Yeah.
But,
That makes perfect sense. Okay, now let's really, really do a deep dive on this one. What would you say was the most personal song you, either both of y'all separately or together, ever wrote?
Well, I don't. Well, okay. I didn't write all of the lyrics for it, but I wrote a good chunk of them for the song Structures, which was dealing directly with the death of my stepfather and then the death of my mother, both within the same year. and the concept of feeling like I had these monuments, these indestructible structures in my life that were suddenly torn down. And feeling like everything else around me felt very unstable and unsure, and as though I'm standing in the middle of a street in a city and all of the buildings are collapsing. All these castles, all these temples. So that would probably be the most personal song I've ever had a hand in writing, just because it was part of a coping mechanism to turn the grief into something contributory, I suppose.
Oh, I like that, contributory.
Yeah, there's a $10 word for this episode.
No, it's good.
You're
it's
welcome.
Good use. Good use. Geez, I guess it's my turn. And
Welcome to the hot seat.
it's warm in here. Ooh. Heated seats?
No, I just farted.
Instant heated seats. Okay. I think in the beginning, it's always dark. It is always dark. That one was really big for me at the time. We were experiencing a lot of just a lot of weirdness. There's a lot of discomfort around everything we were. Well, just our whole lives at that time. It was I think 2011 when I first wrote it, and we were on this label that was. There was some miscommunications, all this kind of stuff. Things felt, I don't want to say up in the air, but there was a lot of confusion. There was a lot of, discrepancy between what was promised and where we saw ourselves going. Things were changing a lot. Our manager at the time wanted to focus a lot more on Angelica and less on the other members, and bios were being rewritten. And I know a lot of the other guys in the band at the time were like, yeah, we're clearly being pushed out of this. So, commercially speaking, and there was discomfort with that. We were going to go record the rest of Survival Machines, and it just felt very strange. There was just this weird air about everything, and I was like, oh man, everyone was bummed out. So I, took it upon myself to kind of equate that with imagery from the Never-Ending Story and the swamps of sadness. If you let the sadness overtake you, you will sink. And obviously, the title of the song comes from the very end. When the Empress tells Bastion in the beginning, "It is always dark." Why is it so dark? He asks. And it's I was like, okay, I get it now. You know what I mean? It's always dark in the beginning. This is the beginning of something. And if I looked at it that way, we were going to find the light. So, that, but also, everything else. Geez, it's also personal. The Way Out, there was another interesting, dark time where it was anytime there's confusion in life, and the songs that are written out of that confusion, have been ultimately very personal. But I'll say something on a more positive note, though, where it's not a dark time, but the song we just completed is very personal, and it's about something we're both very passionate and excited about, but it feels very close, very personal. It's a very personal exaltation, a very personal, positive feeling. So, and that's also the same kind of feeling that's worth protecting. You want to protect your darkness because you don't know what to do with it. It's your little baby soul. You have to nurture it. Same thing with positive stuff, So, yeah, man, I'm almost the wrong guy to ask because I'm gonna get very typical and say all of them. But yeah, I don't know. In the beginning, it was probably the first time that I got where I was I got very personal, and it got very, as she said earlier, introspective. Lyrics back then were a lot more, like she said, outward focused, commentary focused. So that may have been the catalyst for opening up and going inward and writing more that way.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. I guess to answer my own question, the song that still always smacks me hard in the chest whenever I hear it has to be The Way Out or What's Inside. Those two songs have hit me harder than any other song in my God knows how many song library. It always brings me, it's reminds me, it's like, what am I looking for? How can I get out of this? Is there something else to get into? Trust yourself. I mean, there's all these little things swirling around that do it for me. So, I mean, once again, big thank you guys for those.
And thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'm glad you could find something in it.
Oh, yeah. Now, to dovetail off kind of the personal songs and whatnot, you recently started doing, I guess, short videos discussing the meanings of the song. So, like, what's in a name, imposter syndrome, even going back into The Way Out. What started prompting you to do these little, I guess, for lack of a better description, or to be, selfish for my own stuff, these little interlude videos?
Well, I think it probably started at the, suggestion of, music promotion type personalities, saying you gotta use other ways to promote your music than just simply putting it out there and playing a show and calling it a day. So it started out like, how else can we talk about our music? How else can we connect with people? And after a while, it became a way to say, okay, well, we can get personal with these. We can make them interesting to us. And not just have it be like, oh, here's something you have to do. It's like, we can make art with this and we can connect with people. And, we started paying attention to things we think our audience would resonate with, that, that would get something out of these. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, what might they want to hear? What might our people like to hear? How can we help them? And I think the two you mentioned, the imposter syndrome thing and what's in a name, I think are probably my favorites, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I thought people could probably get something out of those the most so far out of what we've done, and it's a lot of fun. We went hiking to do those and stuff. That was a lot of fun. You go in new places. It's always good when you can go somewhere new and make some video art with it and stuff, and then have a good philosophical discussion with a camera.
No, and those were really good videos too, because I mean, once again, I can relate to what you guys were talking about. Even though when you did the what's in a name thing and you mentioned Never Ending Story, I kept thinking of the Earthsea saga, since the names were what gave power over those things. Like, each person had two names, a given one, and then their true name, which where all their power resided. But that was my own spin on it.
I love that. That's very interesting, and I have to dive into that universe more.
I mean, I'm just throwing that out there for my own spin on that. All right, so got 3 questions left. The next question would be, do you have any unreleased material? And if so, would you consider releasing it, and under what circumstances?
Yes, under any damn circumstance. We have one song that's been brewing and brewing since 2011, and it's significantly more progressive, a little bit more mathy.
Very mathy.
Yeah, but we do intend to release it as sort of a B-side, as it were. No special circumstances for it, just whenever we finally get around to perfecting the arrangement. And this is before I was the drummer in the band, so I have to learn it, which is that's going to be tough. But I've been playing a lot of Rush lately, so I think I can do it.
She's ready.
I'm ready.
We're ready.
100% are.
Spirit
yeah.
Radio.
So yes, we do have an unreleased track currently that will be released eventually. We don't know exactly when, but it'll happen.
There's a lot of stuff that people don't hear that's kind of cutting room floor stuff.
Yes, but this is a full song.
Yeah, it was always, we always intended to release it. We're just kind of waiting for the right time. So yeah, it could be on a B-side compilation, because there are some other things, acoustic versions that not a lot of people hear, that were sort of reserved for either mailing list signups, or if you click on this and share this thing, years ago. There's other acoustic versions and stuff like that. So, yeah, there's that. I mean, yeah, there are other full ones that I don't think we really want to show to people. Just
this one that we have it's one that we've remained proud of. But it's just perfecting it and
icing on it.
Yeah, but otherwise, that's
Yep.
There you go.
You can call the B-side album B is for Bagel.
There we go.
Fine
Bagel
by me.
sides. Exactly. Bagel sides. All right, we're going to call it bagel sides.
Bagel sides.
The Bagel sides, I love it.
Right?
That's a great idea. And then, like, to really troll people, instead of actual song title, like actual titles to the songs, it could be your favorite types of bagels. So it could be like one about like coming up with ideas, and the song could be called Sesame Seed.
Yes. There we are.
Yeah.
There you go. There you have it.
All right. So next question. No, I already asked that one. Okay, here we go. Let me delete that. So last two questions for this one. What sort of advice do you have for burgeoning musicians or content creators?
First off, get really good. Get good at what you're doing. Write good music. Don't think so hard about what kind of genre you want to be in, but write good music. Start there.
Well, do think about the genre.
Well, yeah, of course. You do have to pick a lane, but, think about writing good music first. Don't think about how to play the numbers and trend hopping and all that stuff, because then you're just going to get stuck in an infinite loop and just become another wandering generality.
You have to pick a crowd and make things. Instead of making music and finding people for your music, you need to find people and make music for those people.
But focus on making the best music that you can.
Absolutely.
Don't just wander through the genre blindly with mediocre music, because there's a lot of mediocre out there. Try to at least be a little bit more meaningful.
Yeah, and when you say content creator, that usually entails putting stuff out there with the intention of moving people and getting people on board your journey. And when you care about having people with you, you can't just merely follow the muse. There are, unfortunately, I don't say unfortunately for us, because we embrace it now, but like some people think it's selling out when you kind of have to follow some of the rules, but at the same time you need something unique to contribute. For example, we talked about the YouTube cover thing. There are so many metal-core versions of pop songs. We don't need another, metal version of a Billie Eilish song or metal version of a Taylor Swift song or Bieber or whatever. There's so much of that, and, find out what you have to say that's unique to you that a certain group of people need to hear.
Yeah.
And it may take some time, but you can find them. And that and consistency, show up every day. It's like a job. You need to show up, and you need to pick your level of consistency, whether it's every 2 weeks or whether it's every day, whatever it is. But you do need to be consistent. And that's a big, big thing. So show up. Yeah, show up. That's a huge thing. Exactly. Find your voice, show up, pick the people, and don't worry about being too trendy.
Yep.
Okay, cool. And then the last question on this one is, we're just gonna throw this one at the wall and see where it sticks. What sort of advice do you guys have overall for people to take into account this day and age? Not at a musical, not at a content creator, just overall advice you would have in general.
Don't be afraid of failure. Use it as a compass. Use it as a way to learn. You are going to experience failure after failure after failure on your path to success. And success is not a destination. It is a path. You have to walk it every day. If you come away from your failures and continue, that's a success. That's a win. You can celebrate it. This idea that you need to be safe all the time, take no risks, that's not a recipe for happiness. Be willing to take risks, make sure that they're calculated, and accept that they may not work. Be ready to fail, accept failure, accept it as a gift, as a, that challenge is not meant to punish you. And you'll find how to become successful through what you learn.
I love that. That's great. And I'm going to add to that two things. One, know when to quit. And to me, I have to cite Seth Godin's idea of the dip, where there's this plateau you start at. Things are easy when you're starting out at this one particular venture, whatever it is. Maybe it's opening up a pizza shop, or you're starting on YouTube and you're creating videos, whatever. It's easy and you're coasting along and it's fun. But then it starts to get hard, and that's when it dips down, okay? And it's going to come back up again, but he recommends you either quit here or over here. Don't quit in the dip when it's really, really, really hard, because at that point, you may have people depending on you, but also this idea of quitting when it's really hard is a bad culture to create for yourself. Because once things are really hard, yeah, sure, look, you do need to ignore some costs at a certain point when you see that it's not going to get better. But when you know it's going to get better and you've seen from the other side, like just when you are trying to cross a chasm, when you see there's a bridge that needs to be built, you see the other side. But if you don't see the other side and it's just really, really hard, yeah, go ahead, quit. But people quit when it gets too hard, and that's almost always the wrong decision.
Dee Snider is a really good person to look at for inspiration in a case like this, because Twisted Sister wandered in obscurity for a long time before they finally broke huge. And then they became one of the biggest acts in the world. Dee Snider quit after things got great. And he realized, I don't really have much else to write about, and I think I'm gonna move on to do something else. Make a decision. If you're going to quit, do it after you've already succeeded at something, and you maybe want to move on to something else if you are going to quit. If you still have something to say, stick with it.
Absolutely.
But I think he's a great example because he stuck with it through the hardest times and realized, you know what? I think I'm good now that I've garnered this level of success. And he remains a cultural icon for a lot of Gen X and early millennials in terms of, somebody who can be intelligent and strange and become wildly successful.
Yeah, that and the second thing I want to add, final thing, is empathy. Because when you're talking to somebody, there's Tim Ferriss says, he's got a great line. People are fighting a battle, the person you're speaking with is fighting a battle you know nothing about. And the idea that they don't know what you know, they don't have your context. That's really, really hard. It's something I've been thinking a lot about lately. Empathy, the idea that you and everyone else around you has an entire universe worth of stories, narratives, struggles, successes that you have not experienced, and that is what shapes their responses to you. So there's all kinds of reasons why sometimes you'll present an idea or you'll be speaking to somebody and they don't get it, and you can't just say, how can you not know that? How do you get it? Unless it's something obviously very obvious. But so no one to quit and empathy.
Don't be afraid of it.
I definitely agree with the empathy thing. I mean, I was talking to, who was I was talking to yesterday about it? Might have been Fran, where we live in an age where people hide behind, think that anonymity they can get away with anything nowadays, particularly with social media, and they can say whatever comes into mind and not be afraid of reprisals. And I think people act like, you're strong, you're confident, whereas empathy is a, sign of weakness, as this tree-hugging hippie. And I try to take the opposite approach. No, if you're empathetic towards somebody, or as I often call myself as a kind of a backhanded slap in the face for myself, a sin eater, you're showing kindness to somebody as opposed to being this asshole.
Yeah. And, we need to take a page out of Denmark's book. They actually teach empathy in schools. And I think that's something that needs, I think that's something that needs to be incorporated in the United States and everywhere in the world, really, because if you teach children how to be empathetic, you're teaching them how to, you don't want them to feel what the other person is feeling, but you want them to be willing to seek to understand. And I think that is very important. You can't connect with people if you don't choose to understand them.
Yeah. Well, that's key. I mean, it's like the old X-Men cartoons. People fear what they don't understand.
Yes, it's
very true. Very true.
It's true. And perhaps we'd have a little less fear. Social anxiety might not plague us as terribly as it does today if people learned early on how to be more empathetic. And unfortunately, while you can say it's the job of the parents, yes, ultimately it comes down to them. But let's also be real here. Children spend the majority of their waking hours in school, among other influences. And I think having that, the concept of empathy imbued in them at a young age among their peers, where they can all seek to understand it together, I think is very, very important. Because there are going to be forces against which parents can't really fight effectively.
Truth.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to have a conversation with me. I really do appreciate it. For those again who don't know Randy and Angelica, I will put links in the description below down to their Twitter page, their YouTube page, and their website. Check them out. They are amazing individuals. And of course, if you guys have time, the audience, not you guys, I will be doing a giveaway for the latest release of Replica in about a week or two. I will be posting it on Twitter, so keep in touch with that. But once again, Randy, Angelica, thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day. I really do appreciate it.
Hey, anytime. Thanks for having us.
Anytime, man. It's always a pleasure.
Always. All right. Well, with that being said, y'all, before I call it a day, definitely check them out, and I will catch you, audience, on the flip side.
Rock and roll.